Lansing. I've owned two little buildings on Michigan Avenue with a couple of partners for I think about 8 years now, and got someone in one of them right now. The other one we're fixing up right now, doing a lot to it, and I've been involved in the city of Lansing and local stuff for a long time. And I think Michigan Avenue is, one of the city's key corridors, and the city's taken a lot of steps to do things there, including this past year with everything that went on. And I followed the development there, attended some of the forums that the city put on, and I think it's a lot of exciting things happening there. So I'm really kind of the small guy compared to a lot of the other people that might be on the avenue doing something, but I'd like to serve the community by being a part of this. And I think that a lot of the improvements were made last year were great. I just think that the city of Lansing did a good job, but could probably even do better. And this is what I'd like to help with: just the vision that's out there, the communication with the community, inviting the stakeholders forward on a lot of things that happened last year, like where the street parking spots go, what trees stay, some design things like that. I know there was a little bit of frustration. A lot of the business owners this last year when the streets were shut down, that was pretty harmful to people actually. Maybe you've heard some of that, but I think stuff like that, I would be mindful of and trying to help be there if something like that ever comes up again to prevent those sort of things from happening and just try to make things run smoothly. So I'm interested in doing whatever I can to help improve the corridor. I think it's a key street in Lansing, and yeah, I could probably go on and on, but don't want to take up too much time with everything you got here today. So I just appreciate the opportunity. I applied for the board, I think, back in the early summer, based on encouragement by a couple other people, and I'm happy an opportunity opened up to be there, that the mayor recommended me, and happy to answer any questions you might have.
Thank you, Hank. Tell me about your business you own. Is it more than one building on Michigan Avenue? Where exactly is that at?
So at 2615, 2617 East Michigan Avenue, we're in between the Enterprise Car Rental and GoPuff, kind of across the street from Max Bar and the People's Kitchen.
Yeah, my old haircut guy was there, right there, Barbara Love.
Okay.
Nice.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I appreciate your willingness to serve, sir. You obviously have the time. You're committed to being able to serve. Now, if you are selected and you end up being on this board, once you get your legs under you and you find out what's going on, would you be willing to take some of that information from that board to the constituent contact meetings and talk to the actual residents that are?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
And could you speak a little bit? You mentioned vision. What would your vision be of the corridor?
Well, I think it's headed in the right direction. I mean, everything that's been done lately with the improvements there are key, but I think it is, but also I think has the potential to be a real thriving avenue, right? I mean, you have all these commercial businesses up and down there, but if you drive down, I drove down today because I'm coming from East Lansing, still a lot of vacancies, and to have it be thriving with businesses and walkable for everyone in the neighborhood there, but also attracting people from outside to come there is key. We've had some minor issues with I'll call them public safety issues, vandalism, things like that. So, just trying to make it aesthetically pleasing, but also economically thriving and safe, so that families and everyone else wants to come there. I think that's key for Lansing to have. There's a lot of still unique blocks on Michigan Avenue, a lot of small businesses that have been there for a long time, and I think that's great because there's not a lot of places like that in the city that have that kind of concentration. So to me, that's pretty unique. I'm not sure if I'm answering your question.
No, I think you're doing.
But I look at it. It's like Michigan Avenue goes from East Lansing to the Capitol, and that's where a lot of people, come into the city and they go one way or the other and they see it. So I think it's important that that remains that way. And I'm also cognizant that there are people in the city that feel that certain areas get more attention than others. Like I grew up on the south side of Lansing, and I know people on the south side sometimes feel like they're neglected. So I don't want to say that it's any more special than the other area in the city, but I do think it's unique, and I like that. I like that about it.
Well, thank you. Committee members, anybody have any comments, questions?
Sure, I guess so. And I may have missed it when you talk about that particular corridor, maybe some of the work that you're going to do as part of this particular board. The working to implement the development plan, and obviously leveraging the finances that come in through the finance plan. You guys are really working to support market conditions, right? So that we can bring reputable retail, restaurant, residential. When you look at that corridor, because you said something about making sure that it was inviting the families and things like that. What type of businesses do you think we're lacking on the corridor?
Yeah, that's a good question. I'm not sure I have a great answer to that, but having really, restaurants are key a lot of times because that brings people in. People come from everywhere else and walkable. Like where I'm at, I can walk over to People's Kitchen or I walk down to the taco truck. But then there's not a lot else that's right there. I mean, there is, or it depends how far you really want to go. So I wouldn't necessarily that anything particular is lacking, but it's just trying to. And I don't know that the authority or I can really necessarily influence that. Like you said, it's the market, and people come in there. But the 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 trend I think is good that you're seeing some new businesses there, and even driving down today, just looking up, seeing some things that are new. So I really think it's it is kind of the city can help where it can to create those conditions where people want to go there. But I guess like back to your question, it's restaurants and retail's tough. I mean, retail's a tough gig for everybody right now because just the economy, the way things have changed, Amazon and these things. Like no matter where you're at in retail, it's really hard. So and I've been in retail, so I understand that. I mean, to make it in retail, you got to have low rent, and I don't know that that's necessarily something that you can wave a magic wand and make that happen everywhere. But that's key to creating thrive. I'd like to see opportunities, for local small businesses and people that want to start stuff up to be able to have a place to go. So that's key. So that's like a broad, it's not really a direct answer to you where I can say this type of business, but really any type, because I also don't want to say like, well, I think it should be just that. It's like, well, what do people want to do? What do people want to put in to make sure things that are there that, there's a diversity of things there too, not just all restaurants, for example, So I'm sorry if that's a roundabout answer to your question, but really places like, there's a couple good coffee shops, but I mean, places I like to go mostly are restaurants, coffee shops, places you can go meet somebody, things like that,
Appreciate that. And I was going to ask, in terms of vision and things like that, and what you believe will be your role in terms of actually supporting that vision. But I think you implied, you're going to be a conduit between that board, maybe the city, community outreach, making sure people have information, the businesses, engagement. So I appreciate that. Thank you.
So you said you've owned these two properties for 8 years on Michigan. Have you ever worked with the East Side Neighborhood Organization?
I don't believe I have directly, no.
And I'm curious, you said that a couple folks asked you to put in the application for this board. Is it someone in the city that asked you?
I discussed it with some people in the city. It wasn't like I was pushed to do so, but I just said this is something I'm interested in, I was encouraged to apply for it because there were some vacancies at the time. I think a couple other people were in before me on those.
Okay. And then one of your buildings, I think, is empty right now. Has been. So I live 3 blocks from your buildings. And then the other one is a provisioning center.
Yep.
Do you do retail out of there, or is that just kind of like the Go Puff at the end of it?
So the Go Puff's a separate building, the separate owner. Gillespie owns that. I used to be one of the owners of the dispensary. We sold that years ago. Now there's another company in there. The building next door that's empty was built in the 1950s and a little outdated, I would say, and some issues with that. So just in the past year, we just replaced some plumbing on the inside and some all new windows and a new door on the front and framing for the windows. And I got a new awning. And we're in the process of going to redo the front facade, the brickwork. It's real hard to find masons in town, masons that can work quickly, and especially in this weather. But by spring, redoing the masonry work, and I'm most likely putting my law office in there.
It's going to be a law office in that building.
Most likely, unless someone else comes along and wants to rent it.
That was going to be my next question, is what you could envision going into your building there, because you still own the building that the provisioning center's in,
Yeah,
correct?
it's one property. There's just 2 buildings on it.
Yeah, there's a road between the 2 of them, or a driveway. So besides coffee shops and places to eat, which you missed, Charlie's, the fish place that's right there, and then not LS, but the Mexican restaurant on the corner of Clemens and, yeah, all right there in 5 minutes. What is your vision of like retail when we talk retail? Cause you know, there's 20 to 28, I think, empty storefronts right now between Pennsylvania and 127. And I walk it every day since I live 5 houses in from Michigan Avenue, and it looks sad. That hot tub place is falling down. You know, what can you envision? We have a nice nightlife on the 2000 block, but what do you envision filling in those gaps other than food?
Yeah, I mean, retail would be ideal. It's just, again, I don't have a magic wand to make retail work. I think retail's tough everywhere right now. I mean, you can drive through East Lansing to see vacancies too. That's a national, if not international, struggle right now for retailers to make it in this economy with the cost of doing business and everything. So, I'll give you an example. So recently, I was in Toronto a couple weeks ago, walking down the main drag in Toronto, and everything in the world was on this little street. Little tiny businesses, restaurants from all different types, but all sorts of retail, bookstores, all sorts of things. So, I mean, ideally, it would be diversity of retail. Bookstores, another place I like to go. There's not a lot of bookstores in Lansing, frankly.
There's one right there.
Well, there are some, yeah, but there's not as many as again, it'd
Sure.
be nice if there's more. You go to Ann Arbor or somewhere like that, you look at different downtowns. So, yeah, I don't really have an answer how you can solve that exactly, other than the city's got to try to continue to improve the corridor and make it an attractive place for people to do business. And there's probably some collaboration that could happen between different agencies and entities to try to encourage that. But as diverse as retail, you asked about retail specifically, as I would love to see it. You're right. There's a lot of vacancies, and I think that's kind of those have come and gone over the years. If you go back like 10 years, or maybe it was 10 years ago, maybe it was longer, but there was a time where Michigan Ave was looking real rough. The road was bad. I mean, so I think there's some of that cyclical a little bit. Maybe hopefully that will change. But like you mentioned, the hot tub place, and those were some unique businesses that went out, and it might take someone unique. May take some time for some unique people to come in there, because a lot of businesses, they start and they fail too. It's hard to make it after a couple of years. So
I lived there 8 years and no one seemed to move into that hot tub place. It's been empty like that. You got real estate as your background. Do you do real estate right now?
Well, I have the real estate here on Michigan Avenue. I've done a little bit of this too.
So you're not like an agent then?
No. I've done a little bit of real estate work as an attorney.
I don't have any other questions.
I guess I'm looking for a motion if there's no more questions or comments.
Sure. Sorry. Move the resolution of appointment for Jeffrey Hank as a business representative to the Michigan Avenue Corridor Improvement Authority Board of Directors.
Just one quick
Yep.
question, actually. You're on the East Lansing Charter Review Committee. Is that going to interfere with serving on this board?
No, that work's done now.
Okay, so that work is done. And then I didn't get a chance to ask, but you do have time to serve on this board,
Sir.
okay?
Okay, so we have a proper motion in place. All those in favor, please state by saying aye. Motion passes. All those opposed, motion passes unanimously. Okay, so that will come to council Monday night. This coming Monday, are you able to attend?
Should be able to, yes.
It'll be 7 o'clock out here in the chambers. And for whatever reason, if you're not, please let our office manager Sherry know. Because if you can't come in, you can get sworn in as early as at 9 a.m. the next morning from the clerk. Okay.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Hey, moving down, resolution C, appointment of, Shahariyar Maninyar.
Shay Manowar. Shay is fine. It's
Shay,
Okay, Shay.
thanks for giving us that short.
Manowar.
Manowar, yes.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so this is for City of Lansing member, Local Development Finance Authority Board, term to expire June 30th, 2028. Kind of seen, what we did, open the floor up to you. Tell us a little bit about yourself, why you want to serve, why you seem like you could fit this board, and then we'll open up to the committee for questions.
Thank you. Appreciate the time. again, Shea Manowar or Shea Harrier Manowar, whichever is simpler. I work at Lansing Economic Development Corporation. I work as a development finance specialist. Joined EDC last year. And before that, my journey since I graduated from MSU over a decade ago has been around the entrepreneurship ecosystem. After I graduated 2011, 2012, my first job was at Smart Innovation. So got to know how the ecosystem works and what kind of efforts that they began putting in to attract high-tech growth in the region. After that, I had my own fair share of experimenting with founding startups. Also had a chance to work as an economist at the Anderson Economic Group, where worked on projects that looked at some entrepreneurial ecosystems outside of Michigan, other municipalities and other regions. So based on the academic experience and professional experience and also the interest, I believe I have the intent and time and ability to serve on the board.
Well, thank you. I see you're a Ward 2 resident. Well, Ward 2, Southside. Love seeing Southside people get involved and join our committees because typically it's first and fourth ward that we see the majority of people. So thank you for stepping up and your willingness to serve. So I guess you obviously have the time to serve, correct? Like I asked in the previous questions, my typical question is once you start getting your feet under you, you start learning more about the board that you serve on, are you willing to go into the neighborhoods and actually present in front of some of the ward council member constituent contact, share some of the news from your board?
Yes, I do.
Great, thank you. Me?
So were you, because you'll notice the note I put next to Ward 2, the fact that they're vastly underrepresented on boards. So we certainly appreciate it. And part of that is that a lot of times folks that serve on these boards and commissions, they're actually approached by folks from the administration, particularly individuals that may live in the city that, for whatever one reason or the other, most of their networks seem to exist north of 496. And so on these respective boards and commissions, you get a lot of, that people seeing things through that lens, right? That geographic kind of lens. And then we feel it, right? We feel the city of Lansing. I guess I'm just curious, were you approached with regard to submitting your application, or were you kind of self-driven to do this?
I would say a combination of both. Obviously, the skill sets that I have to apply at work allow me to interact with the stakeholders that do represent the board already. However, based on my experience living in the board, I became a resident beginning 2018. There's quite a bit of opportunity, especially with the kind of manufacturing footprint that we have along Aurelius. That means there is capital that could be then driven towards more innovative funds that could propel towards high-tech growth that may benefit the entire region, in particular the city of Lansing. So based on the experience, based on the footprint that we have, I see a glass half full with a lot of opportunities. I just have to package them well.
Most of their work deals with smart zone, but still loving that. We have some folks from the second ward. Certainly qualified. So I'm supportive.
Councilman Cost, anything?
No, you answered my only question.
Oh, sorry.
So my thunder.
Okay, well, with that, I guess I'm looking for a motion.
So moved.
Okay, we have a proper motion in place. All those in favor, please state by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay, opposed? All right, motion passes unanimously. So that will go to council on Monday night for appointment for, approval or denial. Are you able to attend? Okay, all right, well, we will see you Monday night then. Thank you, sir. Okay, moving down to resolution D, appointment of Melissa White, resident member, South Martin Luther King Jr. Boulevard Corridor Improvement Authority, Board of Directors, term to expire June 31st, 2029. Welcome.
Hello.
Another Southside resident, love it.
Huh?
We like hanging out here. We see you all the time.
Do you remember that my nickname is not relentless?
I heard.
It's like she won't give up. She won't leave. I walked in, Chris looked at me like, jeez. This girl again?
Well, we like seeing you, so appreciate your willingness to be here and serve. So tell us a little bit about yourself, Melissa, why you want to serve on this important corridor, and we'll open it up for questions.
So a little bit about me. I've always wanted to find a way to give back to my community, even when I was little. I did not know that this was actually going to be the direction that I would be going into as an adult, honestly. It's like it kind of just happened over time. So having that building at 820 West Miller and trying to figure out the process, understanding the programs and how all of it functions as a whole, what government entities are responsible for what, who do we talk to, it kind of opened my eyes a little bit more as to how do I help other people in this certain situation? Because it's not transparent, it's not in black and white. And if you don't have like a skill set like I do, where I can, do the research myself or have a business degree or have done investments before, then just the average person that lives in that area or someone that's trying to develop in their city, they don't know. I mean, you could continue to post stuff on Facebook or, send out flyers, but still we're not reaching the people that it needs to reach. So going through this, it really made me want to know more and want to help more. So then I started watching you guys on TV. I subscribed to the YouTube channel and here I am, instead of like watching cartoons with my kids at dinner time, we're watching city council meetings and I'm like, shh, you gotta be quiet. This is important. And I started understanding more of city government and I was intrigued by it. I was like, I think this is my calling. And so I owned a business for 10 years. I was a third party administrator. I worked with county jails throughout the state of Michigan. And I processed and managed inmate medical bills for county jails. I ran that business, owned it for 10 years, and I sold it in 2023. At that point, I could have just left the city or the state and dipped out. But I wanted to take all of the money from that and invest it into this project because I knew it was going to be huge. So investing it into that project, I then decided that I wanted to, again, stay more involved. And I was able to utilize that time and focus on the property, still work for the business as a consultant, but I pretty much work on my own time. I'm not on a set schedule. So, I'm mandated to still meet with these county jails every quarter, but in essence, I'm still doing my part in all areas of my community. I'm still working with the counties and saving them money, recouping funds to help the counties, but also helping the community as well by investing and playing my role.
Nice. Well, I appreciate that. And thanks for giving back to the community, not just dipping out and leaving, because a lot of people do, make some money. The next thing you know, they're living in Grand Ledge or DeWitt or wherever. But so thank you for staying here in Lansing. Tell me a little bit about your vision for the South Martin Luther corridor, Martin Luther King
I
corridor.
don't think you guys have time for all.
I mean, it needs, Victor is where it like starts, right? And then it goes south from there. So, I mean, obviously there's some empty spots, close to Victor.
Yeah.
I'm just kind of curious, what would you like to see?
Well, so I do want to add, so I owned a house at 1208 Victor. So when I submitted this application, it was actually way back in April. And I had a rental house at 1124 Victor. So I had that rental home for several years. I actually sold 1208 Victor in August to a first-time home buyer from Flint. So she came here. And then James and our family moved into 1124 Victor. So that's our primary residence.
And that's still within, what is it, 500? Does it have to be 500?
Like half a mile. So we're like 3 houses from the corner of MLK and Victor, which is right there at the railroad track. So what is that, DL Walker?
Development district is 500 feet from the center line. Well,
Yeah.
a resident member can be within 1/4 of a mile. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. You
Better get our wheel out and measure.
It's a half a mile. I did my research because when it became open, I'm like, oh, it's open. I'm gonna fill it out, and
Right.
so anxious. And
Well, it sounds like it's all still within the parameters of this board, but so back to like,
Yeah.
so what would you like to see?
so, really, I think that corridor just lacks the foundation first. There really isn't a foundation. I feel like over the course of all these years, we've just been putting a lot of Band-Aids on that corridor and these little cracks. Like you've got these little restaurants that'll pop up, but they're like either locals that don't have the capital stack. They don't have the knowledge. They're running this business as business owners, but they're wearing all of the hats and then they're going out of business. You've got like retail shops that just aren't surviving. Luckily, we did have a couple big ones that wanted to, play, and it was good. Taco Bell. right across the street, I go get tacos. But really, I think it's just laying the foundation of what could go there. And it kind of led me back to what you were saying about the custard or frozen yogurt. James and I had a conversation.
It's forgotten.
More
I don't eat that-
recent.
I don't eat that anymore. So
There,
do it or not.
but in comparison to that, we realize there's no healthy options. I do feel like if we put some more healthy options in that area, people would be more driven to want to invest in themselves. Because really, I don't think the people are investing in themselves because it's so run down. Why don't we have like the yogurt bowls or the fruit bowls or smoothies? We don't have anything. Tropical smoothie, not trying to diss them, but they're not really that healthy. So, I mean, I think that if we really laid the foundation of putting some stronger businesses in there, providing the transparency for these people, I mean, I do feel like there's a lot of people on the south side that could really do good in business, but they just don't have the tools. They're intimidated by what you guys have to offer. The only reason why I'm still here and going at it is because I'm not intimidated. But how many people are there that are not? You know, it's like they have the money, they've got the drive, they've got the heart, they've got a great solid idea. They're intimidated. They just don't have the book smarts to do it, or the right team that's going to show them how to guide them through these programs. But let's start with some healthy options.
Like that. So, and my only other question is, it's like typical, the same as everybody else's. So like, once you get on this board, would you be willing to go into some of the neighborhood groups, the constituent contact meetings, and share some of the exciting things that's happening on the corridor?
I think I said that without saying it. Yes.
Because she already attends,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
She's already there.
And I have been going to the MLK boards once a month the last few months. So already I'm over there taking notes like, oh, I can't wait to get in here because I have some great ideas. You know me.
She's been at contact meetings, she's been at apron meetings. Yeah, absolutely. I'm excited. I think, you know, for this particular board of directors, I think we need somebody with energy, vision. I think we need folks on that board that are reliable, right? That we can rely on as an example, just showing up to the meetings, right? So that we have quorum. I think you have, you're going to have a unique perspective as an emerging developer. And that's somebody that has went through, the other folks that are willing to invest in the corridor and give it a shot. And I think you might be uniquely qualified to think about how we do that, how we communicate, Chris and I.
I've already been attending meetings, not once,
Really?
not
It's
once.
rare, yeah.
Oh,
Well, for my 3 years, I've never heard it. Could have happened. Not only that, but that you're paying attention to local government. It's my jokes. I know it is. Just
wait,
make sure.
all you guys have different personalities.
Monday, because Monday is the last time I sit in the center. Then I'm gonna be in the audience somewhere. So.
I'm like, no, wait a minute. That's not true.
So I just won't be the one making jokes.
Like I can tell when
Just be in the corner. to be quiet.
energy's off between you guys. It's cool. I like it. You're very
The energy is always off. I appreciate your go-getting attitude with Michigan, MLK. That corridor is near and dear to my heart, I obviously represent the first ward, so I'm gonna, be a first ward, Rob, but when I was a kid, that's where we went shopping. I went with my grandma to Logan Square. We went to Big Lots. I got the stupid ball with the string that you just kept hitting.
Do you remember when they first put the Family Dollar there in the Kroger? Like that was the best Kroger in the city of Lansing.
And I still shop there. And so I appreciate that you're willing to invest.
Country Parlor.
Yeah.
Invest not only with what you're doing as an emerging developer, but investing your time. Clearly, you know what's going on in this corridor. And just to throw an idea out there, like the healthy foods, that's a wonderful idea. I mean, we have a salad place over in Frandor that is extremely popular. And I think there's a lot of people that like healthier options. When I drive through there, I would certainly stop if there were healthier choices, right? But right now you have McDonald's, Burger King, Arby's, Taco Bell. Not that I'm that familiar with.
That's why I've gained weight since I've seen you guys last.
So I appreciate your go-get attitude, and I'm excited to see what you're going to bring to the MLK corridor, because it is certainly someone's clay ready to mold and build into something really great. And I think with people like you on those corridor commissions, that it makes a difference.
Yeah, and I appreciate you, talking about the importance of that corridor because you can't have a great city if South MLK is not thriving, if Cedar's not thriving. So those are some of your north-southbound corridors, obviously, and then obviously, Saginaw, Michigan, Grand River. I think we're being as intentional as we can with regard to some of those corridors. But South MLK, maybe more than some of the others. I mean, it's a monster, right, to deal with. It's also unique, right, in that when you look at this particular stretch that kind of comprises the business district, um, part of it's commercial. There's some industrial mixed in there. There's a lot of residential, and so it presents a number of unique challenges. I would highly encourage you, just like we actually just had another appointee I was pretty excited about that works right now for SIPTOP, but really, continue to push the board and the folks from the LADC, the staff, the board, et cetera, to continue to partner with some of the other entities in the area that I think will really be successful partners in advancing the corridor.
Yeah, no,
So
because
can you
my,
guys bring in MDOT? Can you bring in CATA? Can you bring in the county? I mean, there's so many other entities in the area that have some stake in that corridor that need to be part of the conversation. Yeah, I think it's important. And the other pieces, and I've talked to Chris about this, it's kind of like you look at Cedar Street, right? And what's happening kind of toward the southern edge of that street in terms of the city limits. And it's exciting, right? And I promise you that is going to create secondary investment, tertiary investment down the corridor. And I think it's slowly kind of happening. We need to really identify, as an example, the really critical nodes along that corridor, and then really kind of hammer those nodes. And then what I think you'll see is improvement in investment, et cetera, start to fan out from there. But if you try to tackle that whole doggone corridor right at once, it's going to be a disaster. So, yeah, so there's just some food for thought, I guess.
I do want to add though, so I did volunteer, me and my 4-year-old, we did the trash pickup on that corridor. And I think it even intrigued me a little bit more to want to push to get the word out to people, because the amount of people that showed up, it actually saddened me. It's like, what, the people that are here can only do so much. It's like, how do we really get these local people involved in picking up this trash or even taking care of it? So kind of going back to that foundation, it's like, who wants to invest in something when you ride down MLK, there is a trash can, but there's a pile of trash next to it.
And that's what excites me about you is that, Melissa, you have your kind of tentacles throughout the community, right?
Yeah.
Now people just didn't hear about that cleanup. I'm going to be real honest. They just didn't know. And frankly, I had my constituent contact me the same day, same time.
Yep.
And I even reached out and said, guys,
James went to yours and I went to clean up trash.
I just heard about this. I can't attend. I can try to get my folks to attend, and we had like 50 people at our contact meeting. I mean, that area, if you guys do a really good job, I think, making sure that you are conduits to the community, I don't think, no offense, nobody shows up like the South Side. There should have been 100 people right at that cleanup. Nobody knew about it, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Well, I'm excited. I mean, I couldn't think of another resident that would fit this mold for this board other than you. So thank you for your stepping up and willing to serve. I know you gotta, like Adam said, your tentacles out, and that's a lot to take on. And so I appreciate it. Any help from me, please feel free to reach out. I'd be more than happy to do whatever I can to help you out. So thank you for your willingness.
Remember you said that.
I do. Hey,
Okay.
my card's right up there in the front. So okay.
Me too.
Oh, I will.
I might be north side, but I still care about the south side and show up.
Everybody's proud. Yeah, I love the North Side.
All right. So if there's any more comments or questions from the committee, I would take a motion.
I would enthusiastically move the resolution of appointment for Melissa White for resident member, South Martin Luther King Boulevard Corridor Improvement Authority, and the term expire would be July 31st, 2029.
Perfect. Okay, we have a proper motion in place. All those in favor, please state by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed, motion passed unanimously. Monday night, you'll be up for appointment. Willing to?
Yeah, I'll be there.
Okay, great.
Oh, you know I'll be there.
See you Monday at 7 PM then.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, moving down to resolution E, objection to foreclosed property by the Ingham County Treasurer. Raleigh, welcome. Nice necklace.
Thank you.
Festive.
Can you fire that puppy up?
Oh yeah, let's get it going, ready? different.
Oh, yeah, that's the winner right there.
Yeah. Action to the euchre tournament I was in this weekend. So
Hopefully there's no,
I did not win.
epileptic seizures on TV.
That's because I wasn't your euchre partner. That's why you didn't win.
Could be true. We should talk after. I'm here. Unfortunately, Treasurer Fox is not able to be here tonight, but will be at your Monday meeting. So if there's additional questions for him, but certainly I'll do my best to answer. You're all seasoned veteran members of council, so you're used to this process. But for those watching, I'll give just a high level overview. By state statute, every year, county treasurers across the state have an opportunity to foreclose, unfortunately, on properties that have not paid their property taxes. There's a formula on how that happens. That usually happens starting in March of every year. Foreclosure usually is by the end of that month, and then treasurers across the state will then do public tax auctions. Our treasurer does theirs usually always in August, and usually there's a second one they do as well in September, October. Anything that is not then sold at either of those two auctions, the county treasurer has to inform all local governments within the county of that, because by the end of the year, unless that acting body, so in this case, city council, objects to those transfers, those properties are actually automatically assigned then to, in this case, the city of Lansing for ownership. So in your packet, you'll see that there were 8 properties that were tax foreclosed on, but not sold at the second auction. And so those are now coming forward for your consideration to either do nothing, which means December 31, Alan signs those over to all 8 over to us, or object to them saying you do not want them. If we don't want them, again, you all are aware of this, but for those watching who aren't familiar, this is much of the reason why land banks were created many years ago. Ours being the second in the state by Eric Chertzing and others in 2005. Land banks are then tasked with owning those properties, working with partners to put them back on the tax rolls. And we have a very robust land bank who does just that. However, this year we have an unusual one in terms of timing that the administration has spoken with both Alan as well as Roxanne, the director of the land bank, about, and that is 308 Cesar Chavez. Again, both Councilmember Hussein and Koss are very well familiar being on the Public Safety Committee. That was one of our commercial make safe for demolition properties that you had ruled on this year. At this phase of the demolition, it is in the city's jurisdiction. We've awarded the demo bid last month to MCS Excavating. But as we've learned with some of the other demos this summer, they don't show up the next day and start tearing it down. So they've got about another 90 to 120 days estimated to finish this one. This one's a little bit unique because it's attached to the building adjacent. So it's not as easy as some of the single family demolitions that get done. And so there's just a couple extra particulars. There's some road closures that complicate this a bit more. So I can't tell you officially from the department's end that we'll be finished by this 12/31 and allow the land bank to have a vacant lot clean and free. The other caveat with this is with Make Safer demos, when the city does the demo, we bill the owner for that, and then they pay us. And if they don't pay us, we transfer it to tax. That could lead to some getting foreclosed on years later. In this case, there is no owner for us to send that bill to. The land bank and the county aren't eligible to receive that bill either. And so this demo at this point will be at the cost of the city to do. Again, another reason for us, as you'll see my recommendation, is to maintain ownership of this site, largely because the contract is with the city at this point. And so if the land bank takes ownership, there's some back and forth we'll have to do on the contract end because we don't own that property, and then also the payment. In terms of long-term use, maintenance, we believe would be minimal. In talking with the administration and so forth, we also believe there can be some partnership with Old Town Commercial Association on some of that. If you're not familiar with this site, it's right in between
Ice cream shop.
yes,
and
Arctic Corner and
gallery.
yes,
Or Nuremberg store.
yes,
Yeah.
Star Store, right there on Chavez, just across from where Bradley's moved down to. It will create a vacant space. Our hope is with the city, if you vote on Monday to accept ownership of this, we would then, after demolition, work with Chris's team at LADC as well as OTCA to RFP this out, either as a single site development or potentially something that either side property owner would want to expand either their footprint in buildings and so forth. What this property cannot become is a parking lot. It's not zoned for that, so it'll be reverted to green space until the city's able to secure a new development, which I'll leave with, for those who are on council, if and when that happens, would require likely a sale of city property. So outside of any incentives request, council will have the final say in where this goes.
So with that, and I'm fine with this, but has there been any interest in anybody coming forward to say, maybe I could save this building? I have the money.
It's a great question. If Alan was here and I feel comfortable sharing what he shared with me, the answer is yes. I don't know who they are, but apparently there are two people at the auction interested in this, but knowing and seeing the make safer demo order, they moved away from that. As you're all familiar, I have to proceed with the demolition until you choose to rescind that, which there would have to be some sort of newfound reason that would seize this. So at this point, I'm working under the auspice that MCS is going to mobilize as soon as utilities are cut and start. It would take quite a bit for a developer, I think, to come today, present a full plan, to then come to you all to say, this is a solid recommendation to save it. Sure.
I'll reach out to Alan.
Sure.
I would be curious, on that building. It would be nice to save the facade.
Sure.
I know the back of it's pretty much shot. So, yeah, that was my only question on this.
Okay, I guess I have a question regarding the 88,900 for the demo of that property. Would the city be looking to try to capture that money back with the sale? I mean, has there been
Sure. It has not been appraisal at this time, but that would be our avenue to recapture any lost dollars we put into it, would be through the sale of the property. Or if there's some other use during the interim, maybe Old Town for a Festival rents it from the city for something. There could be some small revenue from there, but in terms of recouping that 88, it might not be dollar for dollar to match that, because I can't say what an appraisal would come back on, but certainly we would look at that as a source.
Oh, what's the cost of the demo?
The 88,000.
88,000.
Could there be complications to make that cost go up, especially being attached to the?
There could be, within our bid, there's some gray area offered to the bidders of things they don't know, because it wasn't a building they could go walk through and see. They are responsible, and that would likely result in a change order that would have to be approved by the department first, to ensure that if they tear down, if bricks fall from the adjacent, the building Karen's and whatnot, they'd have to put those back. We think there's going to be some relocation of the stairway that in the back that goes up to the apartment of the neighboring building. Some of that they've planned for because we knew of that. But to your point, anything new they find, they would have to stop, submit a change order request to the city, give us a chance to say we agree or disagree. So the cost in theory could go up. They're a pretty reputable contractor. We've used them on other make safer demos before, so fairly confident with the bid list.
Any other questions?
Nope. Neither. I move the resolution objecting to transfer some of the 8 unsold tax reverted properties from the Ingham County Treasurer's City of Lansing.
okay, we have a proper motion in place. All those in favor, please state by saying aye.
Aye.
Yay.
All those opposed, motion passes. Now, Raleigh, will you or Alan be able to be present on?
We both plan to be there at 7. I can be there earlier if you need for Cal. Alan, I believe, is booked prior to that, and then I've emailed all other members in case they had questions prior to Monday, but we both plan to be there at 7.
7's fine, thank you. All right, moving down to resolution F, Oprah District 323 to 37 South Washington Avenue. Anything else you guys would like to add on that? Buddy, who's here to speak? Chris, Mr. Klein, do you have anything you'd like to add to this?
No, I believe we covered all of it at the public hearing, but happy to answer further questions. There will be, hopefully as this progresses and, we get to full formulation of that project, we'll have before you again and do the full scope of the project.
I just have a quick comment. I've got no more questions on this. I'm excited about this. This is, I think, one of those non-major corridors, but still is one of those principal, shopping areas in Lansing. And this block has just kind of been, I don't know how to describe it, really nothing for multiple years since Pop Off Meat went out, aging myself a little bit. So it's great to see some interest in this block to really connect with the rest of Rio Town and what's happening there.
Good deal. Yeah, I'm excited about this as well. So, I mean, I don't have any further questions. I think you guys did a phenomenal job at the public hearing. So, with that, unless you have any more comments or questions.
I'm equally excited. I think, there's a lot of good things happening. Southern Edge downtown, I think we're creating a market down there finally. But to see, some folks like this, emerging developers be able to take a tool like this, until late, really, I mean, we haven't seen this a lot as part of this body. So I'm excited about it. With that being said, I move the resolution.
Proper motion in place. All those in favor, please state by saying aye.
Yeah.
Two passes, and that will go to Monday night. All right, perfect. Okay, moving down to ordinance G, payment in lieu of taxes, the pilot for Pine Brook Manor, 5911 South Waverly Road.
You've got both myself and you've met Tyler Blakey from our community development office. They're the entity, the division that receives apps and vets apps. And then I think all three of your guests online are with Standard Communities.
Hello, gentlemen. Thank you for having us. Sorry to not be with you in person. You've heard my voice a lot, so I'll shut up.
Well, hopefully you're not digging yourself out of too much snow out in Chicago. So I'm sure you guys got hit pretty hard.
We did and continue to get hit. I'll be using the snowblower a lot this winter.
All right, well, you guys did a good job explaining everything at the public hearing on Monday, so I don't have any further questions or comments, unless the colleagues here on the board do.
I think you heard a number of the concerns that are outstanding, particularly for folks that live in the community. I just want to, as part of the record, ask again. Number one, have you considered scope of project, maybe an adjustment of scope of a project that you might be able to move forward with at a 10%? That's number one. Number two, if forced to consider a 10%, and again, maybe an adjusted scope with regard to project, does the acquisition still happen? And then with regard to your developer fee at both 6.6% and 10%, can you give me, I don't think that's in here. Can you give me, what is that as a percentage of overall, development cost? And is that within market norms? So I don't know if you got all those questions, but you can answer them.
Yeah.
If you need, please let me.
I do, and thank you for the questions and point well taken.
Hey, Aaron, can you stop me just for a minute?
Yes, sir.
Aaron, could you just state your name for the record and who you're with, just so we have it in the record?
Yeah, so for
Sure.
anyone listening, not watching.
For anyone listening, not watching.
Yeah, sorry about that. Hello, everybody. My name is Aaron Thomas. I'm with Standard Communities. We are the developer of the anticipated project at Pine Brook Manor. So to address the questions in order as I understand them, evaluating scope, I think Councilmember Jackson asked this question a couple nights ago about kind of this thing getting a rehab, in every 20 years and now every, so-and-so, and now it's every 15 years. This is what we believe the tightest scope that's possible to not limp the project along or starve it, to give it what it needs so it lasts until the next cycle, which is usually a 15 to 17 year timeline. And so we have tried to cut it as much as possible in that context. I think question two is kind of like in the context of, or question two is, can you confirm this doesn't happen at 10% or with a lower scope or, with a lower developer fee? And respectfully, I want to just say yes. I think this is kind of the best that we can do with the structures, that exists, meaning kind of the tax regime and the rents and the cost that the property needs. This is kind of the optimal structure, I think, both for the business, blah, 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 but also for the city and the taxpayer. Hope that doesn't sound crass for me to say that. I think it's like we want to use as limited of city funds as possible, not take anything from the city, continue to grow what the city receives. And the third question is about the developer fee as a percentage of kind of what's being put into the project. I don't want to give you a percent. I imagine maybe Tommy or Jesse is in front of a computer, so we can maybe drop that in a second. But I know that compared to market, it's very, very low. So market for these things, for developer costs or developer fees around the country is about 15% of project costs. This is, I believe, much lower than that. And again, I want to defer to Jesse and Tommy, who have the numbers maybe in front of them. But to put it kind of colloquially, there's really no circumstance where in which I think you know, the developer fee, we wouldn't do it for a negative. It usually is for a meaningful positive. And we think this is we're excited about the project, what it can do. And kind of, as you've heard, we're doing more stuff in Michigan, and this is part of it. That's our ambition, and so that's why we're really excited about doing this. But I think this is to stop rambling. I think this is pretty significantly low as far as the fee is concerned compared to the investment in the property itself. Jesse or Tommy, do you have anything in front of you that would corroborate that, as opposed to me just talking? And if not, we can certainly give you that within the hour.
I'm working on it, Aaron. I don't want to misspeak and then come back and have the wrong number. So if I could pull it up for you, Councilmember Hussein, before we part, that'd be great.
Tell me real quick with regard to is it okay? The developer fee, is that, just curious, is that front loaded? Do you defer that at all? But how does that look?
Yeah, generally.
Go ahead, Jesse.
Sorry, Aaron.
Jesse, could you please say your full name for the record and who you work with?
Of course. Jesse Fragman, also with Standard Communities. The developer fees typically, and this is the same as well, come in installments. So there's a portion, typically 15% of the fee that's paid at closing. And then the balance is paid out at various milestones throughout the project. So really, in order to hold our feet to the fire to ensure that the work gets done, the next installment comes at construction completion once the renovation is completed. And then there are two other milestones thereafter within about, call it 6 months, related to the financing. So roughly, it takes around 2 years for it to get paid out. It's not all paid out up front.
And one more comment, I think to answer the question regarding kind of developer fee for market. I know I've been harassing you all's inboxes, but the letter that is from Mishta, the director of transactions at the Michigan State Agency that kind of oversees all of these low-income housing redevelopments across the state. I think the thrust of that letter is that none of these things get done without kind of a pilot that is beyond what the buy right number is. And so I think she highlighted kind of that other cities, kind of Detroit has a buy right 1%, and so 10% just kind of as far as market is. These things just require more to be able to get done at the level that they need to be done. So I think that what we're doing here, asking for a 6.6, I think that will hold up as far as precedent throughout the state of getting these projects done. And we can certainly, again, show that in whatever way is useful to you.
Thank you. Councilman Cost.
Yeah, you said, I heard you say something about you guys are buying properties in Michigan. Is this your first property in Michigan?
It's not, Councilmember Cost. This is we're under construction, on a project in Kalamazoo right now. So by way of kind of timeline and closings, I think the way it's lining up is this will be our third, as we're expecting another one to close in Roseville outside of Detroit prior to Pinebrook Manor. So this would be the second.
How did you hear about
third.
this one?
It was marketed. We heard it, from an affordable housing broker that sells a lot of properties throughout the country.
And so for more context to that answer, to Jesse's answer, is that this particular vintage of Section 8 properties, they're all built between I think the mid 70s and early 80s, that were all kind of with these federal Section 8 contracts. And so now they all have become privately owned as opposed to kind of publicly built. and now they trade kind of in a marketed process. And that's what we trade. And that's like kind of our business, is that we buy these often from people who are not operating in the ways that they deserve, put a ton of money into them, and then hold them for, kind of the decades to come. So that we got this as part of a marketed broker process with most of the stuff that we buy is in that context. We have an answer, by the way, to Councilman Hussein's question. So the market kind of developer fee is
Aaron,
15%.
before you answer.
Yes, sir. Sorry.
Before you jump onto that, I just have one more question, which is the Kalamazoo property in the Roseville. Are you doing pilots on both of those properties?
We are. Yep.
For you, what's the terms look like for the one in Kalamazoo?
The Kalamazoo is 4% of shelter rents. Same calculation.
For how long? And is that voucher based?
That one's not voucher based. There are no Section 8. There's not a Section 8 contract on that one. The term is.
Is it workforce housing?
It is workforce housing. The term is 40 years.
So I assume that one was done with the other pilot that was made legal here in Michigan a year and a half, 2 years ago for workforce housing.
I don't know that I could answer that definitively. I'm not sure. It was around that time. I'd have to look back at the docs, but by way of calculation and the overall kind of methodology, it's in line with what this is.
And in Roseville,
And
are you looking to get a pilot there as well?
We are. Yep.
And what are you going to request on that for terms?
We requested there, as far as the term goes, 32 years, so in line with this request. And that one, based on the same calculation that we're applying here, was 8.77%, with, again, the same approach of keeping taxes more or less flat historically, as the city had been receiving. So ultimately the percentage is derived by trying to not, to Aaron's point, extract anything that isn't needed from the city, and just trying to keep cities' general tax revenues the same, or in theory, hopefully to grow over time.
And I think to wit with that, right? Like I put this in an email, but the thing that we are often avoiding, right? Like we were assuming a faster growth rate than the historical one of kind of what the property will be paying. The thing that is crippling for the transaction is the reassessment, which doubles taxes, right? And so that's kind of why we're going through this process and asking for this.
All right, thank you. Did you want to get to Adam's point or question?
Yeah. One. So we got the numbers. So market is 15%, and that's kind of all the state regulations across the country. This developer fee is 2.4% of project costs.
Did you say 2 point what? 2 point what?
2.4. Yes, sir.
Thank you.
That's
And,
so it's 688,000 out of the 28.5 million of total project cost.
Okay, thank you. And I guess, I do have one question. You mentioned that you guys are planning on investing like 13 million capital into this property with 136 units. That takes it to about 95,500 per unit. What kind
sir.
of remodeling do you plan on doing that's going to cost that kind of money per unit?
Yeah, I'm happy to take this one, Aaron.
Go for it.
Councilman Garza, the rehab that we're proposing here is comprehensive, and I would say in line with what we typically propose and put together on all these rehabs. So starting with the site work, for anyone that's familiar with the project, the exteriors are in dire need of rehab. So we are doing full roof replacements on all buildings, all new windows, as well as $1 million and change of facade repairs. Part of the facade, and I think this was included in what Aaron presented, shows just a need for the porches and stairs are kind of a precast composite material that are slanting and in some cases falling over. So we'll be inserting new porches and stairs on all units. And I guess to round out the site work, we'll be replacing the playground and adding a new barbecue area for the residents. Again, anyone that's familiar with the site knows that there's a clubhouse on site that includes a fitness center, community area that includes a gym, a kitchen, as well as some offices, and we'll be doing a refresh of that space as well. As far as the unit interiors go, it's really top to bottom as far as all new LVP floors throughout. So not just kind of the main areas, but bedrooms, kitchens, etc. New stainless steel appliances in the kitchens, new cabinets, all new fixtures, hardware, etc. As well as on the mechanical side. So hot water heaters, tubs, surrounds. I mean, quite literally anything that you can think of on the inside of the units is what we're doing. So when you think of the number, and it is a big number, the rehab is all encompassing and really gets to Aaron's point of our aim to kind of have this last until the next time it needs the renovation.
And
Thank you for
Jesse,
that.
can you talk a little bit about like the
Cut out, Aaron. Must be that Chicago weather.
The snow. Aaron, if you come back, let us know. Happy to chime in and add more context.
Sorry, guys.
That's all right. I don't have any further questions unless the body does or comments.
I mean, if we're looking to close on this, I would just give my final thoughts. I've asked a lot of questions about this, property. And here's my issues. One, no one's from here or even close to being from here. Two, a 6.6% pilot for 32 years. I am going to be signing away a tax debt to generations long after I'm dead. I sat in here and we heard that LHC could not, there is no possibility if we did not give them a 4% pilot at the time, I believe, that they were going to be able to build those structures around the new city hall. And sure as I am sitting here, I just looked out this window and it looks like the exteriors are nearly completed on a 10% pilot. So I've heard this song and dance before that we can't afford it. And I understand that there's some costs here, but I also see opportunities. Stainless steel appliances, I don't think people give a rat's ass what kind of appliances they have. I think that the issue is we don't have enough affordable housing. So do we need stainless steel or can we just go with plain, simple white things? The old white appliances. Do we need granite countertops or are we just looking for some Formica? Because at the end of the day, people just need a place to put their head that's affordable. So I never understand how we're, trying to build a Cadillac basically off this tax base, off our tax base. We've got 32 active pilots in this city, I believe, was what they told us 2 meetings ago, if I'm the correct number. That's enough, in my opinion. And so I'm going to be a no vote on this. This is a bad deal. I think they can do it at 10% and they can do it at 10% without us.
I appreciate those comments, Councilman Cost. Thank you. Do you have any additional comments on the body? Look for a motion.
I would move the resolution.
Okay, we have a proper motion in place. All those in favor, please state by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign.
Oppose.
All right, motion passes 2-1, and that will go before council Monday night. Are you guys going to be there on hand if there's any additional questions from council?
We will be there. Thank you guys for your time.
All right, thank you. All right, see no further business before the body. We are adjourned at 4:36.
Thank you, everybody.